We're past the halfway point of the season, and the league is separating the contenders from the pretenders. Some teams that looked competitive are falling apart. Others are getting completely embarrassed every single night. Mid-season is when reality hits, and these 5 teams are getting exposed for exactly who they are. Let's break it down. Let's start with the most obvious collapse in the NBA. The Milwaukee Bucks are 18-26, sitting 11th in the Eastern Conference. They're not in the play-in. They're not close to the play-in. They're closer to the lottery than the playoffs, and they have a 2-time MVP on their roster. Here's what's getting exposed. This team was supposed to compete. They added Miles Turner in free agency. They have championship experience. Instead, they're one of the most disappointing teams in basketball. They're second in the league in three-point shooting percentage, but they can't defend anyone. They give up over 115 points per game. The Bucks haven't had a 3-game winning streak all season. Think about that. A team with Giannis Antetokounmpo hasn't won 3 games in a row in 44 games. When Giannis sits, they're one of the worst teams in basketball. When he plays, they still lose because nobody else can create offense consistently. At this rate, Milwaukee will finish with maybe 35 wins. That's a catastrophic failure for a team built to contend. The scary part? This might be Giannis's last season in Milwaukee, and they're wasting it spectacularly. Every loss adds credence to the idea that they should trade him at the deadline. That's how far they've fallen. The New York Knicks are 27-18, sitting 4th in the Eastern Conference. On paper, that sounds fine. In reality, they're completely exposed as championship pretenders. They started 23-9. They won the NBA Cup. Owner James Dolan went on the radio and said they should make the finals and win it. Then reality arrived. They lost 4 straight games, including a 31-point blowout to Detroit where they scored 90 points. The Pistons destroyed them without 2 starters. The Knicks had 20 turnovers and couldn't even score inside the restricted area. They've lost to Philadelphia twice. They got embarrassed by teams that completely figured them out. Here's what's getting exposed. Their offense is entirely Jalen Brunson dependent. When teams pressure Brunson, the entire system collapses. Karl Anthony Towns has been criticized by his own coach for lack of effort. Their defense can't stop dribble penetration. They look stagnant in clutch moments. The Knicks went all in to build this roster. They traded for Towns. They gave up multiple first-round picks. They mortgaged their future, and mid-season is revealing they're not championship contenders. They're a good team that's going to lose in the second round, and they gave up everything to get there. The New Orleans Pelicans are one of the worst teams in the NBA. They're 2-14 since before Christmas. They have one of the worst records in basketball. And here's the truly catastrophic part. They don't even have their own 2026 first-round pick. The Pelicans traded their 2026 first-round pick, fully unprotected, to move up in the 2025 draft for Derek Queen. That pick is now projected to be top 10, possibly top 5. The Atlanta Hawks own it. New Orleans is tanking for a lottery pick that belongs to someone else. Here's what's getting exposed. Organizational incompetence at the highest level. They fired head coach Willie Green after a 2-10 start. Zion Williamson got injured again, missing over half the season so far. Jordan Poole has missed significant time. They're bottom 5 in both offensive rating and defensive rating. The Pelicans have no incentive to tank because they don't control their pick. But they also can't compete because their roster is broken. They're stuck in basketball purgatory. Every loss makes the Hawks' pick more valuable while giving New Orleans nothing in return. It's arguably the worst situation in the entire league. The Sacramento Kings are ranked 30th in NBA power rankings, dead last. This is a team that broke a 16-year playoff drought just 3 years ago with De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. They were supposed to be building something sustainable. Instead, they're arguably the worst team in basketball. Here's what's getting exposed. Their off-season moves made no sense. They're the 3rd oldest team in the league behind only Golden State and the Clippers. Sabonis is about to turn 30. They're loaded with aging veterans on long-term contracts that are almost impossible to move. They painted themselves into a corner. Sacramento is last in defense. They give up 130 points per 100 possessions since early December. That's historically bad. Their GM has basically admitted they need to start over, calling the trade deadline their first opportunity to transform the roster. But who's taking these contracts? Who wants to rebuild with aging pieces? The Kings went from playoff excitement in 2023 to complete organizational chaos in 2026. Their window closed almost immediately, and now they're stuck with an expensive, aging roster that can't defend and can't compete. It's a textbook example of how quickly things can fall apart when you make the wrong moves. The Brooklyn Nets are 12-32. They're one of the worst teams in basketball, and they're not even trying to hide it. They went 2-10 in January. They lost to the Knicks by 54 points. That's one of the most lopsided losses in recent NBA history. Here's what's getting exposed. This was always the plan. The Nets have 13 future first-round picks. They're not trying to win this year. They're trying to lose as much as possible for better lottery odds. They could land A.J. Debinsa, Darren Peterson, or Cameron Boozer in the 2026 draft. Brooklyn is actively tanking without shame. Every loss improves their draft position. Every embarrassing blowout gets them closer to a top 3 pick. They're keeping Michael Porter Jr. healthy enough to have trade value at the deadline, then they'll flip him for more picks and tank even harder. The Nets gave up on this season before it started. They're riding out the schedule, hoping to land a franchise cornerstone in the draft. They've completely accepted they're not competitive this year. It's tanking in its purest, most blatant form. And unlike the Pelicans, at least Brooklyn actually owns their pick. Mid-season separates the real contenders from the teams that looked good on paper. The Bucks are wasting Giannis and might trade him. The Knicks aren't the championship team their owner thinks they are. The Pelicans are tanking without their own pick. The Kings are organizationally broken with an aging, expensive roster. And the Nets are shameless tankers hoping for a top 3 pick. These teams got exposed when the game started mattering. Hit that like button if you saw these collapses coming, drop a comment about which team's situation is the absolute worst, and subscribe for more NBA breakdowns. See you in the next one.